You're listening to League Podcast, the League versus the Return of Godzilla. I'm Matt Dursin.
Konnichiwa. Onamae wa John desu.
Clay Ferno here.
We haven't heard John speak Japanese.
I know, yeah, but it's like I had to really think about it for a second. I was like, how do I say what my name is? But I did it.
Well done. Well done. Yeah, so we're still celebrating the 70th birthday of Godzilla. So we're doing another Godzilla movie. Last episode was Invasion of Astro Monster, also known as Godzilla Does a Dance. That's what I call it. This is definitely a bird of a different feather. The Return of Godzilla. This was 1984.
And so, birds with feathers actually figure into the story.
That's true. That's true.
Ironically enough.
Wow. I didn't even mean. Oh, God.
Oh, let's do this. Start over again so I can make it sound like I knew what I was doing.
You did know what you were doing.
That's me speaking for you.
Oh, right. I see. Oh, yeah.
I speak for everyone that wears glasses and you now.
Okay. I don't know. I'm sure I'll need glasses at some point. Nearing my 50s. But yeah, so this was a big thing that the last movie had been 1975. Is that?
That's correct. Godzilla was out of commission for 9 years after one of the Mechagodzilla movies.
Return. The one.
Not the one that we saw over the summer.
Oh, okay. I thought it was. Was it Terror of Mechagodzilla? That was the one we saw, right?
I think that's the one we saw.
Okay, so it was different Mechagodzilla, but yeah, 9 years. Although we had like the cartoon, the American Hanna-Barbera cartoon.
Yeah, I mean that was a good placeholder, I guess. I mean, I loved that cartoon when I was a kid. I mean, I loved every cartoon when I was a kid. I mean, that's what kids do. They love cartoons.
Yeah, that's good.
Back in the 70s.
Oh, yeah, you are the elder.
Yeah, I am the elder.
Yeah, and like I guess so. What Toho had like a 50th anniversary party or something like that, or maybe it wasn't 50, but they had like
I think
to celebrate
30 maybe.
Okay, celebrate their birthday.
Yes.
They screened some old movies, some old Godzilla movies, and they were received quite well. So they were like, maybe it's time to bring back the big G. And yeah, they had the big G spot. They had some, wrote up some stuff. Fred Decker. That's a good name.
Yeah, Monster Squad? Is that him? I'm going to look him up. Someone involved in an Americanization of Godzilla in the 80s worked as the director of RoboCop 3. So that tells you
he was a writer on RoboCop 3 and Monster Squad.
Ah, see? I know.
And the 2018 Predator?
Oh, weird.
How old is this guy?
Wasn't that movie like universally panned?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, for some reason, Mrs. Elder went to see that. And I was like, what are you doing?
Why we haven't gotten there into we were watching the Aliens, and then we were like kind of binging through Aliens and Predator and Alien versus Predator. We haven't gotten there yet. We're still a couple of Predators behind.
The Red Letter Media review was something along the lines of this was the first movie to ever be edited with a weed whacker. So there you go.
Oh.
Good one. I mean, I don't know. I love the first Predator. And ever since then, I'm
that's like, pretty much the only one that I
don't
enjoyed.
Need to make any more of these. Yeah.
No, I heard that show on Hulu was quite good. Prey, it's called.
I think that's an actual movie, though, not a show.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, I thought it was a movie. And that sounded.
I heard good things.
It actually sounded interesting.
Yeah.
But since to me, there's only one Predator movie, I don't need to see it.
Yeah. Except it's the Predator.
Did you get to Terminator? Yeah, except it's the Predator.
It's the Predator.
Like, so you didn't rent Terminator, you rented Predator.
Anyway, that's Fred. Yeah, that's an inside joke. But that's Fred Decker for you. And a couple they had other writers as well. Can I ask you though, right off the top? So this is 1984. What was Godzilla 1985? Was that just a completely separate thing?
Godzilla 1985 is this movie Americanized and Raymond Burr inserted into the movie.
That's what I
with
thought.
New World Pictures doing it. So it was like a Roger Corman production. So all the production values of a Roger Corman movie poured into Godzilla.
Right. Oh boy. That's like two great tastes that go great together.
Yeah, right. R.I.P. Roger Corman.
How do you put Raymond Burr? I haven't seen Godzilla 1985. I'll probably since I rented it.
Here's how it worked. I think it's actually available on YouTube if you go look for it. But essentially has nothing to do with the movie other than they're at the Pentagon looking at what's happening in Japan, and Raymond Burr will be like, that's strange. And they'll be like, Mr. Martin, because they won't call him Steve Martin now because Steve Martin was Steve Martin.
Steve Martin, yeah.
And so his character was Steve Martin in the original. He reprised it for 85, but they only refer to him as Mr. Martin. And then they were like, we need an expert on Godzilla. And they'll just ask him questions. They'll be like, yes, it's a mystery, but Godzilla's looking for something. If only we can figure out what. But it doesn't
now take that arrow from off your head there.
So originally, the rumor is that they wanted to just take this movie and just make a spoof out of it and have Leslie Nielsen as the lead, and it would just be. I'm like, oof. But once they got Raymond Burr on there, he's like, I'm not doing that. I respect the allegory of Godzilla, so we're going to play it straight, or as straight as you can with the Roger Corman low budget. Like filming me in one afternoon all my scenes for this movie.
I do like the idea of a Leslie Nielsen like Dracula Dead and Loving It Godzilla movie.
So Godzilla versus Dracula, Leslie Nielsen's Dracula.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
I remember that movie being a thing, but I never watched it. But I think I remember like we were selling it at our video store, and I think like I bought it for my grandmother or something.
Oh, wow.
Because she liked Leslie Nielsen, and I thought, this will be. We bought her a VCR, and I'm like, here's a movie. But
what's her name?
She probably never watched it. It's probably still down in my parents' basement right now. but yeah, Dead and Loving It. All right, well, yeah, I'm a Godzilla. Dead and Loving It. But this is the Japanese version. We're not doing that American version crap because it's weird.
No, in fact, the version that I watched, because I have it on the Blu-ray, I watched it with the dub.
I was dying for that.
I know you were, because I started to watch it on Max, and I'm like, I can't work and have this on because my Japanese is not good enough. I can't even remember how to say hello. My name is John. So I can't pick up what they're saying. So I was like, I got the Blu-ray in the other room, put it in, boom. I know what the movie's about. So
I even looked on Max to see if there was a dubbed version in the audio titling, but no, Max didn't provide that.
We should have signed on. I could have shared my screen and everybody could have watched it.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah,
that would have been fun. I feel like there was a movie recently, though, where I watched the dubbed version and you were kind of like, oh.
Was it Godzilla -1?
No, maybe. It might have been Godzilla -1.
Yeah, because they have both versions up there on Netflix.
You were like, oh, you watched that version. I was like, well, I've seen it. Like, I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So.
Wait, I got mad at you or Clay got mad at you?
I feel like you both kind of. You didn't get mad.
No, I watched the dub version too.
I wouldn't have got mad. I wouldn't have got mad.
Clay doesn't.
But I think. Mad. No, I wouldn't have got mad because I prefer, as a dumb American, to not have to listen to.
I don't want to read.
It's not about the reading. It's kind of like how John, like I could kind of do other stuff. You know what I mean? Like I could kind of work and maybe watch it another time. You know what I mean? Just being able to follow what's going on.
You mean you're just not dedicated to this podcast?
Oh my God, you guys! Now, all right. Let's not resort to name calling.
Simmer down.
Don't get deregulated. Whatever. All right. Well, whatever. We all watched this movie. It doesn't matter how. It doesn't matter what version. I don't care. You don't have to read. I just remember that was a big thing in the video store. You remember people like, oh, you know that this is. We would have to like remind people. Like,
we would have to remind people that there were subtitles or it was widescreen.
Oh yeah, widescreen. That was a rough one. Nobody wanted that. But anyway, so this movie, this says the gross was 14 million box office. I don't know if that's. I guess that's in America or in Japan. I don't know. It just says box office 14 million.
It must have been in Japan because in America it completely tanked.
Oh, okay. Okay. So there you go. On a budget of 6.25 million, so that's not too bad. But as far as like effects goes, the budget was greatly increased for this.
Yeah, well, they had a Godzilla Cybot for this movie.
But I heard the Cybot was only used for close-ups.
It is, but they still used it, and it was still about, I don't know, 20 feet tall or something. I don't have any. I'm sorry. I was working as we started. Now I finished working. Now I can devote my full attention to it.
Always trying to insert Cybok into making the movie more interesting.
I didn't help but you notice your pain. Go listen to our Star Trek 5 watch along. But they also had a giant Godzilla foot for this.
Yes, which they cut out of the American version because they thought it looked goofy.
It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
I think it's fine. I like I'll just briefly say I like the look of this Godzilla. I like when you click on Max, like the artwork for it, the big Godzilla with the big head and the big eyes. I liked all the close-ups and the Godzilla foot and the I guess they recycled a lot of sort of explosions
there's one
one
particular shot that was pulled from a different movie
not even a Godzilla movie, completely. It was like Nosferatu or something like that. That's all right. Hey,
I like cute cuddly Godzilla.
Well, this I like his eyes in this one. I don't know, his eyes are kind of more expressive. They're very big.
This is one of my more favorite Godzilla suit designs. I actually just pulled out a couple weeks ago. I built a model kit of this like years ago and pulled it out of storage recently, and he was all falling apart, and refurbished them, repainted them, and re-glued them back together, and it looks pretty good now. Pretty good.
Nice.
I guess I have a little knowledge drop that this suit was much heavier and that the actor had some difficulties in it because it was bigger and heavier.
It was meant for a different suit actor at first, and then Kenpachiro Satsuma, who ended up playing Godzilla for the rest of the Heisei series, took over. But yeah, he was a shorter guy, so the suit didn't quite fit him right, and it's like 250 pounds or some shit. Oh, sorry, 240 pounds according to Wikipedia.
Close enough. That's a lot of pounds.
Yeah, and the Cybot was 16 feet tall, so I was off by 4 feet.
And they actually they made Godzilla, like in storyline, so to speak, taller in this one because buildings had gotten taller. Godzilla is 80 meters in this film, where he was 50 meters in his original. His original height was about 50 meters, but they were like, "Oh, buildings are taller now.
We gotta make him look more impressive." So then all the miniatures get less detailed. So you hide that by filming a lot of stuff at night. So it worked. I thought all the miniature work was good.
Sure.
Generally, all the miniature work in these movies is good. It's the way it's photographed that usually makes it look like a miniature.
I like speaking in generalities here, but I always say I like the look of the movie. I like the look of this movie quite a bit, and there's some really good shots and cool backgrounds with Godzilla against them and stuff. It just looked cool.
Yes, I agree. Yes. Well, let's get into it, Dursin.
Let's get into it. So I was just gonna say we got like a fishing vessel out here, and it's in a storm, and it's rocky waves. It's very like perfect storm. George Clooney out there,
I love any Japanese large monster movie that starts off in a stormy sea. A lot of them do that. A few have that. And even when in the Matthew Broderick Godzilla movie, they did that at one point, and I was like, "Oh, this is Godzilla to me," with the fishing boats are getting pulled down. I was like, "That's cool. I love all that."
That is cool. Yeah. We hear the roar right off the bat. Like there's no like pretense or anything.
Yeah, you were psyched. You were like, "Oh, Godzilla's here already."
I was like, "Oh, all right." No setup or anything. And so like they're like, "Oh!" And then we cut to the sailboat, and it's daytime, and he's jamming.
He's jamming to some light rock.
I know.
Easy listening stuff. Right?
I know. It's got like a Sony radio, and it actually says, "And now the news." I was like, "Oh, wow." Remember that? Remember that was like a thing?
Yeah, I remember those days.
So he comes across the ship that was getting tossed around and encountered, Godzilla the day before.
It's the Yahata Maru.
Oh, okay.
Name of the ship that was
not the Kobayashi Maru.
No, that's a different Maru.
Different Star Trek. What Yes, different.
It is a different Star Trek.
It's a different Star Trek.
It's a different Star Trek than Godzilla.
Yeah. So he goes on, and the crew looks all like they look like they're from Evil Dead or something. They're all kind of like.
One guy looks like he's made out of clay, not our clay.
No clay.
Old clay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Only.
No clay.
And this guy, as he's walking through, he slips on. I gotta say this. It's gonna be a little gross. It looks like cum. This guy.
There you go.
Okay, I'm just gonna say it. It's white. It's it's all. Ugh. It's it's gross. So and it's everywhere, and he's kind of like ah. So and there's this weird cockroach.
Cum everywhere and a cockroach.
Cockroach. I guess it's not. They call it like a louse or something.
Yeah, sea louse.
Sea louse.
It's like lice.
Sea bass.
Lice.
I guess it is. It's like lice, louse, whatever. But it looks like it's just a big weird looking thing.
It's a very badly done prop that they have on a string,
which only made my my Grinch heart like grow bigger when I see stuff like that. I love like a Doctor Who, like a Tom Baker Doctor Who like creature. Thrown together with rubber and like thrown at a guy. I love that.
I thought that there's a shot of it like crawling along the floor, and Dursin says it looks like cum. To me, it looked like he was walking through tuna fish that had just been smeared all over.
My mind is just in the gutter. But anyway, so there was a lone survivor on this ship, and this guy Hiroshi, and so he's like, what happened or whatever, and then the cockroach comes and he's jizzing all over the place, and like he kind of jumps on his crotch. It's kind of
it did look like it was going down on him.
So maybe that's where the cum came from. But then Hiroshi gets back up and he stabs the thing and kills it. Now I'm thinking like, okay, this is gonna lead. This is like these monsters are gonna grow or something. Like that's kind of it. Like
that's
for
it
this for the sea louse.
Yeah, but I was also thinking about, and I never finished the show, by the way, but it's kind of a lot what they do in that Monarch TV show. Like this, there's a direct line from these Toho Godzilla movies to that Monarch TV show that they put on. They would have like bigger versions of Peter Parker or stuff, or like not my lice. They have like some of that kind of stuff where it's like, oh, we must be close to the monsters because here's a big fucking gross bug, but it's like 50 times the size it should be.
Yeah, well, they do explain it later, but it is funny because he says what happened, and Hiroshi, the lone survivor, says it was a monster, and he's like, oh, like that thing, and he's like, not even close. I thought that was pretty cool. That was like a nice dramatic beat there. So then they get picked up by a helicopter, and I'm like, wait, wasn't that guy's boat working? Well, doesn't matter.
Yeah, weren't there people? There was helicopters already out there looking for them.
Right.
Right. So
that's true.
It's
easy to say that on the news.
Yeah. Now the news. There's a helicopter right above a boat right now.
So he goes back. No one believes the story about the monster, but whatever. And so Hiroshi's in the hospital, and the hospital looks kind of like my basement. I don't know if you remember. It's got like wood paneling. Well, that's fine. I mean, it was the 80s.
Yeah.
But the professor comes and he shows him a picture. He's like, was it this? It's like, what about the sea louse? He's like, well, it must have drained all the crew, and then like
of all their
the radiation.
The seamen were drained of their semen. Okay, sorry.
All right. Good night, everybody.
That was the dumbest joke.
So apparently they sucked radiation off of Godzilla, and that's how they grew. So there you go. And they said there was an eruption, a volcanic eruption that caused Godzilla to be released.
Wink, wink. Wink, wink. There was an
eruption. Yeah. Eruption. But meanwhile, they're like, yeah, we don't, you got to keep that under your hat, basically. And the reporter, so that guy, the guy in the boat who rescued Hiroshi is a reporter. His name is Maki. We should probably just say their names at this point.
Yeah, probably.
And he's a reporter, and he's like, he wants to get the scoop. And they're like, nope, we're not, we're told they don't want to cause a panic. Can't say that Godzilla's back. That would be bad. And like, meanwhile, like another ship is missing, all this stuff. So like, I kind of forget how he reaches out to the professor so much. I guess this guy just remembers the last time Godzilla was rampaging or whatever, and like, yeah, go talk to him. And he goes to talk to the professor, and he goes, "You, huh?" Like, so yeah, like the professor lost his parents in the first attack. So that's from like the 50s, like, right?
Yes,
like,
yeah. I would also like to point out that this movie ends up being a direct sequel to the 1954 movie, and they just ignore everything that happened in between Godzilla Raids Again and up to this movie. It's just the original 54 version and this. That's how they view the continuity.
That's fine. Whatever. It happens. Yeah. It happens in movies.
You don't have to.
You don't have like they do that stuff now.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's funny because they start talking about nuclear weapons and stuff, and it was just a theme, and it's good because that's what like Godzilla was always a metaphor sort of for like the atomic bomb and atomic weapons and stuff like that. So they're carrying that on. So yeah, the two guys are talking. This girl comes in to bring them some tea, and that's Hiroshi's sister. So it's really weird because he's like, do you know this guy? Where did he get this picture? Like, did he just take the picture from his wallet? It looks like he just took that guy's wallet.
I think he took his wallet.
Like Back to the Future. Took that guy's wallet. So she doesn't know that he's alive because they're keeping everything under wraps. So they take a nice little walk. The reporter, Maki, and her. I lost her name. Naoko. Thank you. Yes, that's it. And he says, "All right, he's alive." And she's like, "What?" And he says, "Yeah, Godzilla came." And he's all mad. He's like,
"I can't believe they went But like, really, he's manipulating her too.
Trying to be the good guy. Is that what he's doing?
But I know he's trying to get a story out of it.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah.
She sort of condemns him for it later.
Later, she's like, "Yeah, you're a good reporter.
Go fuck yourself, hey. Setting you up."
Anyway, so he's like, "Oh, he's in this hospital," and then, but it was weird because like a minute ago he's like, "Oh yeah, he's in a secret location." It's the
police hospital or whatever.
Yeah. And yeah, so she runs off to see him. And we cut to a Russian sub, which is great. I love this 80s like Crimson Tide kind of like or Hunt for Red October kind of stuff. Like going there with the sub.
You know, I love this stuff too, the Cold War shit.
Yeah.
And then like these actors doing their Russian accent.
Yeah.
It was great.
So they're
the Russian guy reminds me of if you recall the late Marvel editor Mark Grunwald. That's who the Russian guy with the mustache reminds me of.
I like Mark Grunwald as a writer. I
like his Captain America run.
Captain America run is great. Squadron Supreme, A+ in my book. So all right. So anyway, they see something on the sonar. They're like, "Oh, it's an American sub." And I kept expecting it to be like, "Turn your key, sir." You know, like they have to turn the keys at the same time. And then they fire their torpedoes and it's direct hit. And they're like, "Oh, he's right above us." But then like they look up to the ceiling of the sub, like they're going to see anything up there. Like, wait, what?
You know, but it's probably just the reaction anyone would have. It's right above us and you just look anyway. Maybe you're looking to see if there's going to be any leaks or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Big leak somewhere.
There's a big... Anyway, yeah, they do spring a leak, actually, and the whole sub goes to shit, basically. It explodes. So the Russians think that the United States did it. It's all,
Yeah, it's Cold War,
crazy.
Cold War 80s shit. Right there.
Yeah. And the Japanese prime minister is very dramatically kind of just looks so they have to kind of admit that it was Godzilla, because otherwise there would be like a war, I suppose.
Yeah.
So
I like a submarine fight and a floating submarine almost as much as I like a train fight.
Nice.
If you could just combine the two.
Yeah.
Like if a train went off into the ocean, but it had like submarine abilities.
Ooh, nice.
So they show this kind of weird, like grainy, I don't even know what you call it, this picture of Godzilla that's all like
infrared or something.
Yeah. And they're like, "Yep, this is him." So, and we get one of my favorite like things with like the newspaper going. You know, they show the headlines and everything. Oh, yeah. I love that.
That's great.
So yeah, and that's when Naoko gets all sad. She's like, "Oh, you used me." So he's like, "Hey, just doing my job, kid." You know?
Yeah, that's it. Chin up, kid. You're all right.
So all these politicians are now sitting around like, "What do we do? What do we do with Godzilla?" And they talk about the Super X.
That's a favorite. I mean, we've been saying launch the Super X since this movie came out.
Well, is that in this one or in 85? Do they say it in this one?
I don't remember if they say it, but it is in the 85 version. So
yeah,
launch the Super X.
Yeah. So
that's what I say every time I leave my garage. Back on my.
The Super X, I guess when I was a kid, I remember it being more impressive. It's kind of like a bus or something. It's like a small.
Yeah,
I wanted
it to
have.
They've got a Super X2 in Godzilla vs. Destroyer, which is cooler. It looks more like something out of Thunderbirds or something.
All right, that's good. But it can withstand Godzilla's fire, and it has cadmium cannons. I don't even know what those are, but they sound pretty cool.
I thought they were Cadbury. They would shoot out chocolate.
Chocolate eggs. So then it's funny, the professor is talking about Godzilla, and he's got that photo, the infrared thing, and he takes out like a ruler. And he's like, "Oh yeah." So I guess he's about 6 inches. What?
This is an 8x10. You're right. I thought.
Yeah. How can you tell how big Godzilla is by measuring a picture of him? You don't know what that. Whatever. But the idea is that like
the metric system. You go 10 by 10 by 10.
They don't even know what a quarter pounder is. The metric system.
Oh, by the way, cadmium is a heavy metal element.
I see. So like,
toxic, very toxic.
Metallica kind of.
Yeah, it's like Metallica Iron Maiden kind of missile.
Yeah.
Yeah, run to the hills.
Anyway, so Godzilla, the professor says, "Oh, so he's after radiation. He wants to eat this guy." So we have a nice montage here of the military getting ready because they're like, "Godzilla's coming." And they call it a collective effort of all the military branches. They show like whatever they're scanning the seas, the air, whatever. It's great. And then we get this is like the big reveal. It's funny. Like this guy walks out, like he's at a nuclear power plant.
Yeah, it's kind of weird in a way.
He just walks out and there's there's like a crack in the cement.
The ground cracks, and then he's like, looks up. Like, you didn't notice that as you were walking out the door, huh?
There's a giant foot there, and you look up and it's Godzilla. I mean, it's cool,
it would make sense these days because he'd probably be walking out the door looking at his phone, so he would be distracted from not noticing it. But back then,
with his noise canceling headphones.
I kept thinking about how like those plates shifted when the sidewalk cracks. I was like, I could just picture the three guys like going like, okay, so then when he steps there, everybody pull, but not too much.
And also when they pan up from him to show Godzilla's face, like it's slightly off. The movement of the camera goes like a little too fast on like the guy and not fast enough on Godzilla, so it doesn't match up quite right. And again, homegrown effects. I like that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And
it's kind of like a two shot where they're both kind of staring at each other.
Yeah, kind of weird.
Like Godzilla gives a shit about the ant beneath his boot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's funny to me too because when they get to his face, he roars and then closes his mouth, but like the costume like does something weird, so his mouth like closes, but it also looks like a Muppet because it closes and then goes like and squishes down a little bit.
Yeah, like his nose like kind of squishes a little.
This place stinks. Yeah, there's no like Jurassic Park like. With the water, or anything like that. It's just, he's just there.
He transported himself there.
Yeah, I guess he did. So meanwhile, yeah, he trashes this plant, and it's pretty cool. I mean, this is what
you came for. You were like last week or last episode.
I said last week. Last episode. I was like, not a lot of
enough Godzilla, enough of that. And then you were like, boom, yes, this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, here he is.
This one, my only complaint, almost a little too much Godzilla.
No such thing. No such thing.
No such thing. No such thing. I get it.
In the current American movies, I think that, I don't get excited about American Godzilla like I do for Japanese Godzilla. I don't know what it is.
Hi.
It's not a guy in a suit. Hi.
Oh no, even the new ones like -1 and whatever, Shin Godzilla, like those were computer generated, but I was like, yes, this is the Godzilla I want.
Right.
I think they just make him look more like God. Well, Shin Godzilla doesn't, but -1, that's perfect Godzilla in my book.
Yeah, and it's the story. There's like story to it.
Yeah,
it's not
everything
just
works
like
so well.
Godzilla and King Kong whacking each other for a while.
Yeah, I mean,
whack a guy,
get all that
off a guy.
Whack-a-zilla, off-a-zilla, whack off-a-zilla.
But also, the thing I think about that, like something about Godzilla -1 being like the ultimate tribute. Every time I see just someone running away in like one of these older movies, I think like that person's got a story to tell, but what is their story? You know what I mean? Like it's like everybody has like their, and they do like kind of always have like some interpersonal things, even in the last movie we watched. But like, that's why Godzilla -1 was so great. It was just like the story of the characters and like see how they really affect people's lives when this gigantic fucking Godzilla is running through their town.
I would like to point this dub that I watched on the Blu-ray. I don't think it was an American company that did it. I think Toho used to prepare their own dubs for release internationally, and usually every studio that we get a hold of would go, "Nah, this is shit. Let's just redo it ourselves." Everyone refers to Godzilla in this movie as Godzilla. So yes, we'll watch out for Godzilla. Like
Godzilla.
Yeah. Godzilla and Batman and Namikawa are not robots.
Not robots. Godzilla's not a robot.
Yeah, we don't have any Godzilla robots.
So meanwhile, the professor and Maki, they're there filming and they're taking their pictures. And Godzilla goes up to the reactor and he kind of sticks his face into it.
Like you're smelling mom's like beef stew. Like,
right. Like, I can't wait to have some tomato sauce later. Yeah.
He lifted the lid off of the crock pot.
Like, too many onions. But, he's there. This is what he feeds on. So, and then we get the birds come, as we mentioned earlier.
Some nice animated birds.
Yeah. I mean, they look huge. Like, but that's it. I mean, whatever. It's a fun little, I mean, they're animated, but I like the story element here. Yeah, because Godzilla kind of goes like
Jurassic Park too.
Yeah,
in terms of,
that's right.
They follow the dinosaurs follow like paths of the birds and stuff, like flocking, the flocks.
Yeah, they're not lizards. They're descended from birds and all that stuff. Yeah, or birds, I guess, are descended from them.
This probably isn't the first time, but correct me if I'm wrong. Because, but like when his scales, his dorsal fin tails like kind of become blue and like do like extra get charged up after he grabs the meatball out of the soup pot there.
Yeah.
Is this the first time of that, or did they do that in the earlier ones too?
They would always glow when he was shooting his radioactive breath, but I don't know if they did it if he would charge up, because that didn't happen all that often, as I recall.
Well, it's so cool when they do it in -1, right? Because it's like, and you see it going up, and you're like, oh, something's happening. But anyway, yeah, he does follow those birds. Like the birds kind of fly, and he's like, hey guys, come back.
My nose. It always nice.
Those are like the birds down in middle Earth.
Right.
That I know.
Right. So then we get more news headlines. Godzilla destroys power plant and all that stuff. But I just love to point out those news headlines. Like,
they're great.
All right, Godzilla has come.
How would you do it now?
I don't know. You'd have like a website, like
Yeah,
reloads or something.
Yeah, you'd have like Anderson Cooper or something. You'd have like a real news cameo like they do sometimes.
No, it'd have to be Wolf Blitzer, because he's always the guy that plays a news guy. He always plays himself.
Yeah, plays himself.
Skyfall.
And he definitely, I think he's like, no disrespect to Wolf Blitzer, but I think he's for that kind of thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, he's got the voice for it. I'll give him that. Godzilla has destroyed a nuclear power plant. That's my Wolf Blitzer.
I thought that was Wolf Blitzer.
How did you get it?
Oh, wow. That was amazing.
I didn't know he was so much of a whore. He'd come on our podcast.
He's just looking to be Wolf Blitzer wherever he can.
Yeah, he'll do anything.
Talk about bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, the professor has a theory that he follows the migratory birds. So they're like, all right, he tells Hiroshi to go see his friend who's a geologist. He goes, go to Mount Mihara. It's almost like climb the steps, Jim. Climb the steps of Mount Mihara.
His apartment is cool. It has like fossils on the wall and like a Trinitron TV with like 1984 like computer graphics of the islands and stuff, and he's even holding like a snapshot of Godzilla and the birds. He's just kind of like staring at it. Remember how much snapshots used to be important in our lives?
Yeah, I know. They were taking. Yeah, right. I gotta go. I gotta shoot the rest of these so I can go get it developed. So the idea is Mount Mihara is a volcano. They're going to lure Godzilla there with bird sounds and then cause an eruption, and he'll fall in, and that'll be that. And like, okay, sounds good.
Yeah, that works for me.
So this was something I liked though. So I started noticing here, because this professor has like a theory that monsters bringing balance. Godzilla's back. Because it's sort of like the 2014 Godzilla. Yeah. The Ken Watanabe role where he's let them fight and all that. Like I did see a lot of similarities actually between this one and that one. So
yeah, that's says, good. Like, I'm just trying to send him home, or maybe he only says that in the dub version. But yeah.
This is a weird story. As he's talking about this, these two guys walk in and they just go, "We're leaving." Like, who the hell are they? It's like, okay, bye. Like, who? What?
There are other people that work in his lab.
Yes, no, but there was no. I didn't see any point to them.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I see it. Bye.
I guess they're just trying to establish that there's more than just him there.
I guess, yeah. He's got a whole team.
Don't really need to establish that, but that's fine.
Yeah, it doesn't. Anyway, so meanwhile, the Russians and the U.S., they're all like, well, let's just nuke the bastard. It is kind of like in 2014. Right. Yeah.
Some really bad acting. Mr. Prime Minister.
I really enjoyed this bureaucratic UN situation here, the Cold War thing, and how and then the Japanese Prime Minister going oh, you guys started all this, man, with all the nuclear bombs and shit. I don't know if we need to be nuking them.
It's your fault.
But they want to.
Maybe you should step off and back the fuck off with your Russian and American nuclear weapons, because you're gonna make it worse, I bet.
Well, they also, because since Godzilla's in Japan, they're like, let's just nuke Japan. And he's like, would you do it if he was in your country? Would you just want to set off
get all our Sony products from now?
That's when he's like in the office with his advisor being like, I can't imagine doing that to my own people.
Now give me a cigarette.
Yeah, and then his Alfred lights it for him. What if I told you?
Would you like a sandwich, sir? But he's in a tight spot. Russians just want vengeance for their sub. And, obviously everyone just wants to get rid of Godzilla, but he's like, yeah, I like it. It's very 80s. Everything was nuclear war in the 80s. It's funny.
Now it's cyber attacks.
Before the wall came down too. So heightened. This is when I was at the height of my patriotism, probably back then. G.I. Joe, Red Dawn. Let's go.
At like 11.
Fuck those commie bastards.
You still like G.I. Joe, so there you go.
Oh yeah.
You still like Red Dawn.
I still like the Cold War. Let's go back to the Cold War. I felt safer back then.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm sort of nostalgic for those days, huh?
Yeah,
Didn't know we had back then.
Meanwhile, a helicopter spots Godzilla. He's out in the water. He's on his way. The people are running, and I love it. It's kind of like this one of those split screen, kind of like what we just did at Thomas Crown Affair.
Yeah,
kind of like the split screens of people all kind of running and everything. Meanwhile, at Mount Mihara, they're digging and more so or whatever. Wait, no, that's detonate. Whatever.
No, aren't they?
Godzilla's there.
Aren't they doing something to test see if the volcano can erupt or something? I can't remember.
Right, if they can make it erupt. Then Godzilla shows up.
He surprises this. He reminds me of my cat at this part, where there's a helicopter just hovering around, and then he's like, "Goof, boo, gotcha," and it just made me think of my cat just hiding behind a chair, waiting to attack something, my foot or something. That's what I would think of. Then I just started thinking of Godzilla as a cat for the rest of this movie. When he knocks over the building on the Super X and is like,
yeah,
I was just thinking of my cat. She would have done, after she killed the Super X.
He's like Sylvester and Tweety with the birds.
Yeah. So he shoots. There's planes shooting at him, and he shoots one of them right out of it with his fire breath and everything. It's awesome.
I remember the '85 version. One of the pilots goes, "Sayonara, sucker." And it's just that's great. Love it.
Well, it was sayonara for him. But I love it. Then there's a guy, in this version at least, there's a guy, there's a boat there, and the guy's, we have to leave now. It's dangerous. It's oh yeah? You think? So the Russian colonel, so the idea is there's satellites, the nuclear things are launching from a satellite in space. So this Russian colonel, Mark Grunwald, he's like, first he's like, we got to get it ready. And then we get Godzilla. He's kind of splashing around in the water. I don't know. He's kind of just
I want to say about the submarine guy, as I was mixing up my Mark Grunwald, as the original submarine guy reminded me of, why can't I think of it? Anchorman.
Will Ferrell?
Ron Burgundy?
Yeah, Ron Burgundy, yeah.
So,
that's all
I don't know what Mark Grunwald looks like, so I just kind of took your word for that.
Yeah, take my word for it that the guy that is trying to stop the missile is the Mark Grunwald guy. The other guy is the Ron Burgundy guy. I was mixing up my lookalikes.
Yeah, because this guy's bald.
Yeah. Mark Grunwald.
He definitely has the Ron Burgundy mustache.
It does. Still, the '80s people still wore stashes. Now stashes are back in.
They're back.
So are mullets. It's like the '80s all over again.
I know. Maybe the Cold War will come back.
Oh, I hope so.
But it's pretty great. Godzilla's doing some great splashing and shooting his fire around. He roars. And then we see that colonel. He tries to stop the nuke, but he can't. He dies. And then we get Godzilla. So this is where he's walking around Tokyo, and some of it is the same buildings that he destroyed, back in the 50s, basically.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying that he destroyed some and then they just used the same footage again. I was like,
no. I guess the idea is, this is what I'm reading, the same locations. Obviously, the buildings are a little different, but
yes.
He smashes into this Yurakucho Mullian building, and so at one point his foot goes into the concrete. It's I don't know if it's down in the subway or something, but yeah, his foot kind of gets caught in the ground.
Yeah. He steps and it's right through the ground.
Yeah. And that was the site of a theater that Godzilla had destroyed 30 years prior. So that's kind of like that.
Cool.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was an in joke, or something. They really did it. But then at one point, as he's doing these quick little fire bursts, he blows up a chopper and the Ghostbusters sign.
I didn't notice the Ghostbusters sign.
I had to rewind. I'm like, was that the Ghostbusters? That was it was a billboard kind of thing or something. But it's literally the Ghostbusters.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the scene where he blows up the chopper, and then it's all the footage from the other movie.
Yeah, the Nosferatu footage, but. That's all right. But it's kind of, and then he grabs a train, Clay. I was thinking of you.
Yeah, different kind of train fight, but I'll take it. You know,
a little one-sided.
The people are, it's a obvious train miniature, and then but they do cut to all the people inside trying to survive, I guess.
Yeah, trying to not get unalived or whatever we said.
Yeah, by Godzilla. But yeah, it is it qualifies as a train fight. It did make me very happy. Thank you for noticing.
So then Maki comes in, he goes to the professor, he's like, hey, what's going on? He's like still working on his bird call thing, you know, and they're like, uh-oh.
I also like when Godzilla walks through, and for some reason there's 25 power lines. Like, it's an extreme amount of power lines, but that ain't no thing with Godzilla. You can just bust right through those like, you know, nothing. It's nothing.
Absolutely. So we got this guy. He's just sort of eating in a restaurant. I guess because everybody's gone. He kind of
he's like a homeless guy.
Yeah, he's like a hobo.
He reminds me. He's like Asian John Denver.
Yeah,
he doesn't have a hat. I think it's the hat and the glass.
He's kind of doing like it's almost like a Walking Dead kind of thing. It's like, oh well, everybody's fucked. I'm gonna go into this restaurant and raid the fridge. I'm gonna raid the refrigerator. Right? You remember that song when we were kids?
No.
But raiding the refrigerator.
No.
Maybe it was just something that I dreamed. Maybe it wasn't real.
maybe I just made it up right now.
You were
that's it.
Are you sure it was a dream, Peter? Are you sure it wasn't nothing? But yeah, he's like raiding the refrigerator. He's like, yeah, and I love like his like dialogue too. Things he's like talking to himself, and he's pouring himself like sake or wine or something.
Yeah, he's got a lot of booze.
And then he's like, this isn't one of those single parties from when I was in my 20s. I'm gonna go get the good cognac from the kitchen or whatever. Right. Go get it. It's awesome. He's just like eating all the cabbage and whatever prepared food they had in the restaurant. It's awesome. I love that guy. He's my spirit animal of this movie.
Well, I'm sorry.
Your spirit animal. He dies a hero. I mean, when he sees Godzilla, and in this subtitle version, he calls him a hillbilly. I thought it was a little. I mean, like, you hillbilly. He's like, get out of here.
I remember in the 85 version, he's like, hey, don't act like such a big shot. You just got to town, huh?
He might use. I think he used the word big shot in this one too.
Yeah, he says, I happen to be watching on my iPad, and he's like, don't go walking around, you big hillbilly, just because you're walking around, think you made it to the big leagues, huh?
Hillbilly. So they do broadcast like a sound. It's not quite and Godzilla's kind of like, whoa, he's kind of distracted, and then they shoot him with like a laser.
Shoot him in the face.
With the sound, he goes, adjust it to -1.
Oh, I did not notice that.
Yeah.
Just very interesting.
I do like that. Like, they're like, okay, we got him here, and then he like turns, and they're like, oh shit, that's not. We didn't really want that part.
Yeah, like they try to get to the roof. I guess I don't know if they have they can broadcast the sound better, but all the doors are like locked. They're kind of just trapped in the stairwell.
This is where I feel the movie they could have done something even cooler here.
Yeah. They
could have turned like the second half of the movie into sort of like the towering inferno for these characters, you know? So it would have been like a real right. Get out and do, and then, you know, so once they get past that, then they finally get to Mount Mihara and do their thing. But I was like, and I mean, they kind of do it a little bit here, but it's just sort of like, oh, that door's locked and the phone doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's like, I have to take this component tape deck with me off of the shelf that's not connected to anything. And it, to me, it kind of like, it's not really that confusing. I get it. But it kind of looks like Godzilla like knocks this building that they're in down. But maybe it's just the one next door or whatever.
I think he hits it so it damages part of the building.
Yeah.
But not completely. But that's what I'm saying. It's like you could have had like a thing, and they're like, "Oh shit, the building's gonna collapse." Hey, man, we got to, and it could have been so much more exciting.
They go to the elevator, which I was like, maybe don't use the elevator. Like one of the smart things to do.
In the event of a fire or a giant dinosaur coming to kill everyone.
And when you were talking about the theater that he stepped on again or whatever, like one of the smart, funny, clever things that they do in the Monarch show is like they show like all these like anytime there's like a way to go underground, like the subway, basically they have like a gigantic yellow sign with a Godzilla on it with like an arrow pointing down. So like if a Godzilla's there, like go down.
Yeah, please. Yeah, go down. I like that. So now we have the Super X. I feel like it took them a little while. I mean, they were kind of cutting back to being like, where is it? Oh, it just launched and whatever.
You gotta warm it up first, you know?
I guess so, yeah.
It's like the last half hour of this 2-hour movie. So it's like the last part of it.
Yeah. The Super X, which I assume it shoots the cadmium cannons into Godzilla's mouth.
Yeah, that's the wrong end. You should be shooting it in his butt.
Shoot it up his butt. Yeah, like we used to say as a kid.
Yeah, shoot a missile up his butt. Boom. He's dead.
And I guess then it would explode. Well, I mean, the mouth seems to work, but then you hear his heart beating, and I'm not quite sure what that was supposed to mean. I don't know. It's like a weird.
Yeah, I don't know. So I keep thinking of the 1985 version, so I'm trying to put that out of my head because I know they made changes. So.
Oh, okay.
I figured it was just sort of just slowing him down, and he was just sort of like, this sucks, you know. So
meanwhile, the Russian satellite launches its nuclear missile, and somebody in the prime minister's office says, "This is bad." Yeah, I think so. You said it. So they're like, ask the Americans to shoot it down. All right, that sounds good. Meanwhile, Godzilla shoots its fire. The Super X is unaffected. It works. And then meanwhile, they're cutting back and forth, and they're like, "Oh, this is where the nuke will hit." Like, okay,
super not Kubrick level satellites.
Yeah,
special effects. It's like really pretty bad, where you can hardly see the strings.
Yeah.
And again, when I say it, it's not a criticism. I love how terrible it looks.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Fun.
I feel as a Godzilla fan, you're sort of just supposed to fill in the blanks yourself in terms of like, if this movie was done better, it would look real cool. I think that's what all Godzilla fans do. They're like, it's good enough, but if you're just sort of making it better in your own mind.
Yeah, exactly. It's fine, as we like to say.
Fine.
There you go. Godzilla falls over into a building. He kind of just like, it is kind of like, again, in 2014, I think they kind of like, I mean, it was other monsters, but he kind of just like fell over at that one point. And you're like, oh shit. And the Super X pilots are all like, yeah, they're high-fiving and they're all excited. So then, at this point, they tell everybody to go down into the train stations because they think if the U.S. doesn't shoot down that nuke, the train station will save you. I think,
if they were actually still running trains at that time, they'd probably be able to evacuate them real quick because the Japanese train system always runs exactly on time. Nice. At one point, like a train or something was like 2 minutes late, and they released a statement apologizing for the bad job, and it won't happen again, and this and that. And I was like, God, man. Wow. That would be something if
if they did that here, they'd be writing statements every day, hundreds of them. Sorry that train was late. Sorry that train was late. Sorry that train was late. Sorry that bus was late.
We're just going to put out a preemptive, sorry everything is late.
We're always late. This is a completely unrelated, well, not completely, but apparently the Green Line here in North Dakota, they put eyes on the front of the trains.
Okay.
To try to like make people feel happier about the fact their train is always late.
Stupid.
I wish I was making it up.
That's dumb. So, this is what we've come to.
You're most likely to get hit by one of those trains too, so that's the last thing you see.
The last thing you see is two big
googly eyes
coming right at
you. Two big googly eyes. Yeah, right. So meanwhile, Maki and Naoko are there, still trapped in the stairwell. He's trying to drill this lock, and he just goes like, and he like cuts his arm because it's whatever. I don't really.
He shouldn't be allowed to touch power tools.
I guess not. Yeah.
That's me with power tools. I have Stacy do that stuff.
Oh,
And
Rachel
he
does
like
all the work.
he like it cuts like his opposite arm in somehow.
Yeah, I don't know how.
I think the drill bit broke or something, and flew back and hit him.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Good no prize.
Thank you.
Good job. Yeah. So Naoko goes and helps him, and like they kind of have like a nice moment where they like stare into each other's eyes or whatever. You know, then Hiroshi shows up and he's in a chopper, and he's like, "Hey!" And
Hey,
like,
get to the chopper.
Get to
the chopper.
So they like break the window with like a thing. I don't even know how he like whatever, like a whatever. They break through the window.
Yeah,
like a suction thing or whatever. Anyway, so then he lowers
from the helicopter.
Yeah,
is a suction on the thing, but actually there's like a pretty bad / good, like they're like they show put the image of them waving
like
in the window
POV
and
from the helicopter.
Yeah, in a miniature, like on a tiny, like, remember you used to make tiny Trinitron TVs that were like 2 inches wide? They like, put that in there.
It is pretty goofy, even for Godzilla movie standards.
I like it too.
I mean, Goofy is fine.
Yeah, Goofy and good.
Yeah, Goofy's good. So he lowers himself down on this little harness thing, and then they all fight over who's going to go up into the chopper first. The professor kind of just gets caught in the harness thing, and he's like, "Whoa!" And he just kind of goes.
Classic professor.
And then Hiroshi goes up next. Why did he even come down? I don't understand. Why didn't he just stay up there if he's going? Doesn't matter. So Maki and Naoko are just going to hang out there, and they're going to go to
How about us, huh?
Yeah, they're going to go to Mount Mihara because the professor's got his little tape deck all ready to go. And there is a part here. I'm not sure what's going on. It's a bit of a flub there. They're fixing up his arm, and there's like subtitles, but there's nothing. It's kind of just explaining what's going on, but there's no audio.
Maybe it's just what he's thinking.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. But then they hug. And so that's nice. All is forgiven for his shitty manipulating.
Yeah. It's nice. It's nice that she can forgive him.
Yeah. Hey, we almost died. We might die still.
I'm a big dummy, but what's the manipulation part? You said it before too, but I just don't.
Oh, it's where he's telling her that her brother was alive so that he could get a story out of it and get pictures of them reuniting. So he manipulated her so that he could get the story, get a scoop.
I see.
Yeah,
okay.
Scoop.
2 scoops of raisins.
I've scooped Lois again.
Thank you.
So
big dummy here.
No. They don't make it too obvious, I don't think, in the subtitle version, at least. I don't know what the other one's like. Anyway, so the U.S. rocket does blow up the Russian nuke. So
it sort of happens unspectacularly, though. Just kind of.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't seem like there's a real build up to it. It's just sort of like, we did it.
I know it is kind of like, but I guess that's only part of the thing, because the idea is that everything loses power, including the Super X.
Yeah, so it kind of it's like an electromagnetic pulse.
Yes. It's like a story. Well, I guess it wasn't overdone in 1984, but it's kind of been overdone now. But, and then it's kind of like King Kong versus Godzilla, whatever. This lightning comes down, strikes him, and he wakes up. And then Godzilla goes after the Super X.
I do like that like, first of all, I like the eye blinking because he's got like little bloodshot eyes when it shows a close up of his eyes. And then he gets up and he's like, I'm going to fuck you guys up.
Yeah. What are you doing?
I like that he had revenge on his mind.
Yeah, I like it too. Great. Not just a rampaging, mind.
Yeah, no, he knows.
Like, hey.
Yeah. Again,
that
like
stupid
my
bus thing.
Yeah. that floating bus.
So meanwhile, the chopper with the professor, they land at Mount Mihara, and he puts his stereo into the thing.
Into the stereo cabinet.
Get those RCA cables connected.
Get your Foreigner CD. Let's jam some tunes.
And then back in there, the hillbilly guy, the homeless guy, the guy who called the hillbilly, he's kind of just wandering through the building, and Maki and Naoko are they're trying to get out because, as we mentioned, the building has sustained some damage. So they're trying to get down, and then they're like, Maki's like, hey, can you grab this hose? Like, he has like a fire hose. He's like, hey, can you hold that so we can climb down? Which is great. I'm glad that guy like wasn't just some random weird
he got to come back
dude.
And finish off his character arc. And then he dies.
I couldn't tell. Like, did he die? I assume he died.
From what I read,
but it looked like he might have just got unconscious. Like,
from what I read, the intent was that he had a heart attack.
Oh, all right. Well, you had to read that. Like,
yeah, I know. And it's weird. He just sort of lies down on the ground. And he's just like, okay, I'm all done now.
I was like, did he hit his head? Well, he does yell at Godzilla again. Yeah. And this is the part where Godzilla knocks the building down onto the Super X, which he had knocked down as well. So the Super X is on the ground, and he just pushes the building over onto it. And he's like,
it's so good. That shot's so good too. Like when it falls, and then when they show his reaction, he's like, and he's all lit from below with like red lighting from the fire and stuff. It's great.
Yeah,
love it.
It looks awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. Meanwhile, they start the signal.
The signal. Turn on the signal.
And
get Batman. And
Godzilla hears it, and he starts walking. It takes him, like, I don't know where this island is. It doesn't take him long to get there, I guess, fortunately, because there's only like 10 minutes left in this movie. Mm-hmm. And then for some reason, Maki and Naoko, they're like, let's go. Like, what? I'd get as far away from Godzilla as I could possibly get, but they're like, yeah, let's.
Well, he's a reporter.
Let's get to.
He wants to, get the story.
Yeah, I guess so. But how are they gonna get there? It's like, well, let's find another helicopter. I guess.
There's just helicopters everywhere in Japan. Don't you know this?
In these movies, there are. So Godzilla shows up. The transmitter thing. It looks like one of those little radar-y guys. It's like across the. He's like looking at it. He's like, oh, that's the thing. It's making the noise. And then Hiroshi blows the volcano. Everybody is watching on TV, and they seem kind of sad, actually. And Godzilla falls in.
That's the Japanese. They're sort of like everything's connected. This is the cycle of life, and it's sad that we have to kill this beast because he didn't know what he was doing. He was just walking around doing his thing. So, but we're killing him because he's bugging us, You don't get that in American movies. They don't have sympathy for whatever monster they're taking down. But in Japan they do.
Yeah, we didn't feel bad for Hans Gruber falling down off of that.
No.
Die Hard. But yeah, they're all sad. But and then Maki and Naoko show up and they're together. We can interpret. They're like, yeah, we're good. Their brother and sister are reunited. The professor was right about everything. His plan worked.
Yeah, and the movie ends with Godzilla falling in the volcano.
Yeah. But,
and it keeps exploding as the credits roll.
Yeah, that is the end of The Return of Godzilla. The movie, literally. The Return. He was back for a while. He made a lot more movies, but much more, to me, in my opinion, much more fun than the last episode, the Invasion of Astro Monster, which was
of our lives.
I'm gonna say I don't think it was as fun, but I do think it's a better movie.
Well, I guess sure you can say that. I mean, you're allowed, but I see your point.
Hell, yeah.
I will say that it for me, it's the perfect bridge between the creature double feature movies and the more modern movies that we get now and within the last 20, 30 years. Like, it's like a good bridge between the two.
Yeah, and they do another like 5 movies or so after this, and it's like one continuity. They're all sequels to each other after this. So the next movie, Godzilla versus Biollante, picks up where this leaves off with him in the volcano.
Nice. Yes, you had said even too, like they're sort of loosely there's like very loose
Yeah,
continuity.
the 60s one, the Showa era, but the Heisei ones are all definitely sequels to each other. They're all connected, and they have reoccurring characters through the characters.
Would do another one.
I turn this into a Godzilla podcast.
I mean, that's what I was just gonna say. I mean, like, we've done a lot of Godzillas, and I get it. I mean, it's the 70th birthday. This movie is 40 years old. Movies.
Yeah,
there are so many.
40th anniversary. Yeah, it's like I don't even know how many movies there are at this point because they count those Netflix animated things and stuff now too, and so I don't know. I've lost track. It's like 35 movies or something.
Yeah, that would. I mean, we should probably take a little break from Godzilla.
It says 38.
38.
Wow, 38.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could take a well. We can obviously we will return to Godzilla, but you know,
the return of the League and the return of Godzilla.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't insert Raymond Burr into any more of those other ones, but
no more Raymond Burr after this.
Yeah.
But Akira Takarada, he comes back.
Excellent.
Godzilla's not dead, right? I mean,
he's just. Do you think lava is going to stop Godzilla?
I don't think so. That's just his portal down to middle Earth.
Yes, exactly.
That's right. That's right. Apparently, they brought back a few of the actors, right? Not just Akira Takarada, or they tried to bring back some.
Yeah, there are other.
For this one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The professor is someone that was in another Godzilla movie as well, I believe.
Excellent. Okay, but what did we think? Who wants to go first? What's happening? Do you want me to go first?
It's up to you.
Because my loophole. How do I?
I'll do it. I'll go first. All
right, you go.
Right. This is one of my favorites of the Godzilla films. The Suitmation Godzilla films. I enjoy the effects. I mean, there's some wonky shots in there too, but overall, it's fun. It's great. I love that he's not fighting another monster in this. I don't really have much else to say that I haven't already said. I'm going to give it an A.
Excellent.
I'll go next because Dursin seemed to like this so much. Let him have the last word. I have literally no complaints. It's a little long, I guess, for a Godzilla movie. It's like 2 hours long.
It's an hour and 43 minutes. So
it's like 2 hours.
Almost as long.
That's like
it's almost as long as West Street.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, but sure.
So I thought I was going to watch this for the first time and that it was subtitled. I was like, it's 2 hours. How am I going to get through this? But I did get through it. I didn't really understand any of the story until you explained it to me. I was just kind of along for the ride.
You said you had no complaints.
I don't have any complaints because I don't really need a story. I don't really need to know that. I get lost in not the technical details, but the look of it or anything for that matter. But yeah, I like the photography. I like the Cold War stuff a lot. I like the bureaucratic, Japanese prime minister stuff, and like how reflective and serious he is. I love what?
Shin Godzilla, because there's a lot of the bureaucracy stuff in that one.
Yeah, so it's like, and like how just like sincere he was about protecting his people, and how 30 minutes isn't enough time for me to evacuate the city, and I like all the old Sony technology and the stereos and the bad computer graphics, and it just like made me nostalgic for like making like paint program stuff on my Commodore 64. I thought it was cool. And like like infrared is always like make it like infrared, make it look like infrared. Like, yeah, it looks cool. Oscilloscopes and all that stuff. So anyways, just visually really like the movie. Have no complaints. I guess as far as Godzilla movies go, it's great. I give it an A. Concurring, John. Thank you very much.
Well. Very well. So just quick side note before I get the professor was also in Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. So
thank you for looking that up.
Yeah, I didn't have to listen to Clay. I just figured out. Just kidding.
You didn't want to listen to him because you didn't want to be influenced by his.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, I mean, I think very much in agreement here. Like, I like that this is a product of its era as much as it is a Godzilla movie. It's also like an 80s, like, you know, Cold War kind of movie.
Yeah. Me too.
It's got those fun elements. I also like, as you said, that he doesn't fight another monster. Even the fight with the Super X is kind of one-sided. So, I mean, they get a little bit up on him, and then he just comes back. It's like Rocky. He's like, and that's the end of that. But, you know, it's great, too. Like, they wanted to get away from, like, the Godzilla good guy thing and whatever. Like,
get him back to his
back to the roots.
Nuclear allegory roots.
Yeah, and they really do a good job with that, I think. Yes. You know, like, it's what Godzilla is supposed to be. Like I said, I feel like the 2014 one kind of borrowed from this a little bit, and I'm on board with that. I really like that 2014 one.
Yes.
Yeah.
You gave that a good grade too, I believe.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna give this. I mean, I'll give it an A too, just for. I mean, my entertainment factor, as we said, that's how we grade them on, or that's how I grade them on. You know, did I enjoy it? Yeah, baby.
Triple A.
Yeah, A. Yeah, triple A. Great. A. So I really did, as much as I was disappointed. Not I was that disappointed. Would I give it a C or something? Invasion of Astro Monster. I sound like I'm shitting all over that movie. It was fun. But this is way better as far as
enjoy
like
this
what
one on your own.
Yeah.
You didn't need me and Clay there to watch it with you to make it more
fun. Right. And my expectations on this one were met. In fact, probably surpassed. So
I'm glad that I picked one.
Yeah.
More in your wheelhouse.
This is definitely in my wheelhouse. This is a lot of fun. I mean, I like other monsters too, but this is serious Godzilla. He doesn't do any dancing.
Yeah, there's no dance. No dance.
Just fuck shit up.
He gets a nap in.
He does get a little nap in. Yeah.
Likes to have a little nap every once in a while.
But it's kind of cool when the idea of like, oh, he's, you know, it's all nuclear, you know, whatever. Godzilla was caused by radiation or whatever, or he came back, or whatever. However you want to believe. If you want to believe that he's an ancient creature that was just awakened by radiation or whatever, but the humans still find a way to beat him. You know, I like it.
They give him a definitive origin in a couple films from now.
Oh, very good.
Yeah,
very good.
And that it's a sequel is cool to the original.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that is cool. I think that was the way to go.
Yeah.
That I saw all the movies in between, but seems like that's the way to go. Like, because like those other ones they had like aliens and you know what I mean. Like it gets kind of like start to get away from.
Yeah, you're trying to get away from the campiness and get back to something serious that you have to ignore the weirdness. You know.
Yeah, it's like sort of like Batman. Like
it's exactly like Batman and James Bond. They're always reinventing. You know,
they reinvent themselves. They can be campy and you know, like even like I don't know, Green Hornet or whatever other like poppy kind of things from the 60s and the 70s, and they like recreated a bunch, and then it's like, okay, let's get back to the roots here. Let's do a real thing.
Sure, and take the elements that you like and just put those in, and then forget the other stuff. You know, you don't need it. I like that the professor had like a personal thing, like his parents were killed in Godzilla's first Rampage and all that stuff. Like everybody, like we were saying,
I like that too, and I like the fact that he's not out for revenge. He's out to study him. You know, he's fascinated by. I mean, at first he was like, "Yeah, no, I was really angry and I wanted revenge at first, but then I came to learn that this is a fascinating creature. I want to learn more about it." So I like that he wasn't like, "Oh, I'm gonna get him and get that guy murdering my parents."
like Batman.
Stepping on my house.
Well, I feel like a lot of the Godzilla movies do, though, have like the sister, like sort of two male characters, and one of them has a sister, and the guy.
It does happen a lot, yeah.
But it's all right. It's fine. Works. Anyway, AAA.
Yep.
It was a lot of fun. We will return to Godzilla, but we might take a break. Like I said, that's just whatever.
Well, I'm just saying that I'm down to do more Godzilla in the course of our lives. Just like we are with Universal horror movies and stuff like that. It's just something we can always go back to. And
you can always go back.
Done every single James Bond movie,
No, we haven't done a James Bond in a while. It's been a long time.
So. Yeah, not since Timothy Dalton. And that's a past.
That's right. We dashed through Dalton.
Yeah, and I almost didn't think that one was going to get approved by the management.
The powers that be.
Yeah.
I
had to write up a proposal and PowerPoint and do a whole.
No, it was an excellent presentation that you gave to win the board over.
We call them decks now, I believe. They are called decks, PowerPoint decks.
Shit.
I know.
I've been out of corporate America for too long.
Right. Well, the edict came down. They had the bandwidth to watch that, to look at that deck. And it was approved. So we should get back. We got more Roger Moores and
Connerys. We've only done one Connery. So
I mean, that seems
we've only done one Lazenby.
What?
So did he.
Yeah.
Ho.
Well, maybe we've got a 40th anniversary of View to a Kill coming up in 2025. Year. So maybe we could.
And World Is Not Enough just celebrated its 25th anniversary. Can you believe it?
Oh, I mean, we did all the Brosnans.
Yeah, we did it already. But I'm just like, I feel like I just went to the theater and saw that last week.
I know that is a long time. Wait, 25?
25, yeah, it came out in 99.
No.
November of 99, yeah.
It was. Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah.
Holy
and I did the post on our Instagram about Casino Royale, which was 2008.
Shit, man. Yep. Everything's going by too quickly. Let's go back to the Cold War in the 80s so we can...
Let's go back to the Cold War. That's right. All right. Well, whatever we decide to do, it'll be fun. And thank you all for joining us for these Godzilla movies. Don't forget
birthday,
to check
you big G.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Take a nap. You deserve it. 7-year-olds take naps,
They
love a nap. They love a nap.
And just sleep on a building or in SoFi Stadium or whatever that's what in the 2014 one.
The Coliseum.
Yeah. But check out that Godzilla. We did the 2014 Godzilla a while ago. We did a bunch of Godzillas, Rodan, and a few other things. So check them all out at LeaguePodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify and Apple and all those places. And leave us a review if you have the, ability and the inclination. We're also, we got some podcasts on YouTube, so check those out. Video style. And you can click that little thumbs up thing over there.
Oh, thumbs up. Yeah, hit that. Don't hit the other one.
Yeah, only hit the thumbs up.
Yeah, but you don't even have to hit it. Just press it.
That or nothing.
I'd like to say to Godzilla, if I'm remembering this correctly, which would be "O Tanjobi Omedetou Gozaimasu," which I think I just said happy birthday. I might not have.
Okay, that's a lot for happy birthday.
It really is. And it might be. I might be asking when your birthday is. I don't remember exactly.
Okay.
I think that the little Japanese that I know, I think the Gozaimasu is like sir,
it's like
respectful.
It's like a respectful thing.
Because I know Domai arigato gozaimasu.
Mr. Roboto.
Not Mr. Gozaimasu. We say that in karate to our sensei.
Ah, see, there you go. Yeah. I think it's sort of like saying Mr. Dursin, instead of Hey Matt, how are? Hey Clay, it's me, Stanley.
You better address me as Mr. Dursin. What is it again? Ari, what is it? Not
Gozaimasu.
Gozaimasu. Like that.
But I don't know if it's actually a Mr. I think it's just sort of like the formal way of speaking.
It's like in
like saying
Spanish
hello instead of hi or something.
Or like the to form or whatever, or in Spanish. Yeah.
It's been 5 years since I was learning Japanese, and I stopped during the pandemic. So must forgive me for my ignorance.
I remember.
I thought you were turning Japanese. You were turning Japanese. I really think so. Sorry, Clay.
I only got a pity grade of a passing D in third year Spanish, so I can't speak those two forms. But they were like, "We're not going to fail you, but you definitely didn't pass."
Wow. I mean, it was teaching high school kids a foreign language is just a waste. You really need to learn it in like the second grade.
Yeah, you should be learning about like how to manage your finances and shit when you're in high school, not how to speak.
Yeah.
Although I don't know, a lot of Spanish is kind of a very popular language in this country now, so it might be.
No, I just mean it's too late. Like your
it is too late. You're right. Second
language.
grade would be the way to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're young and you can absorb all that.
And you're literally at the height of your horniness, thinking about all the girls in your class.
Yeah, you're not thinking about how to,
conjugate
say
the to form.
Yeah, conjugate. That's the other thing. You don't even really learn how to speak. You just learn how to conjugate verbs. I never was able to put them in a sentence. Whatever. School.
Domai arigato gozaimasu to you guys. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks to you for listening. Hey.
And sayonara.
Hey.